Welcome to the Recklessly Skeptical podcast. My name is Josh.
I am Matt.
And this is Josh with the Recklessly Skeptical podcast.
You're such a dork.
This is Joe.
All right, and we are covering a few different stories today, but before we get into that, we want to tell you where else you can find us. You can find me on the channel ZZZ Giant Awake.
And you can find Joe and me on the Evil Atheist
On YouTube.
That's right.
And you can also find us on Spreaker as well as YouTube, so if you're listening to us on one of those, you can check us out on the other. It's the same show, but it's easier to subscribe, or if you like downloading, check out Spreaker. And we also wanted to... Matt, do you have something?
Oh, I was just going to say, join us on Facebook.
Yes.
On
yes.
the Evil Atheist Facebook group, not the community.
I was about to go into the story. I'm like, I'm forgetting something. What is that? So I'm glad that you nodded. So we're going to cover the voting results today on both Nevada's results and South Carolina's primary Democratic results. So, as no surprise to any of us here, Trump won handedly in Nevada. And he won 46. Marco Rubio came in second with 24%. Ted Cruz came in third with 21%. Ben Carson 5%. And John Kasich 4%. So, what do you guys think about that?
It sucks. He has 82 delegates. That's how many he's won. He's just... The next is Cruz in second place, who has 17, and Donald Trump has 82.
Yeah, he has more delegates than the rest of the field combined.
What's funny is I really, really do not want Trump to be president, and the next person behind Trump, who is so far away, I don't want them to be president either. So it's
yeah, I don't want any of them to be president.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one of the 5 remaining candidates, I would probably pick Kasich, and Josh and I have discussed this prior, but I don't want any of them to get it.
Yeah. All of them are terrible options. Terrible options. But being realistic, Kasich is going to probably drop either tomorrow or Tuesday. One of those 2 days.
Yeah. And hopefully Carson will as well.
Actually... Ben Carson, I have a theory about Ben Carson. Ben Carson might run for a while. So I think the establishment is gearing up, as we'll listen to in the second half. There were a lot of attacks on Trump at the Houston debate. And that, I think, was on, I want to say Wednesday, but it might have been a different day. But my theory on Ben Carson is that Ben Carson holds a lot of supporters whose second choice would be Donald Trump. So the establishment might just float him some money to keep him going, so that
he takes people away from Trump.
Yeah. So Ben Carson might be the second to last person to drop, even though he has no business in the race. Neither does John Kasich, realistically. He's just going to try and win Ohio and then justify staying in, but that's even nonsense there. Otherwise, we might be looking at after Tuesday. So Tuesday's a huge day. Super Tuesday, we've got more delegates for both. It's like 10 times more delegates getting assigned both for the Republican and the Democratic side on Tuesday than would have been assigned already. So this whole field could technically change, but if polling's any indicator, Donald Trump is easily going to remain in charge. Matt, are you excited for a Donald Trump presidency?
I'm fucking not excited in the slightest. It's kind of depressing.
I've been looking into getting work and like a home somewhere in like Sweden or something like that. I might just leave.
Yeah. Pack up the kids and learn. What do they speak in Sweden?
Swedish fish.
Swedish fish. Swiss Army knife.
So there are a few different ways.
That's from Switzerland.
Yes. So there are a few different ways that this can end up going down. So I think Ted Cruz has a decent chance of winning Houston, not Houston, Texas. God damn it, Texas is a state. So there's a decent chance that Ted Cruz is going to win Texas.
I think he's killing in Texas right now.
No, not killing. He's got like a 5% lead, but that's a huge state, and polling numbers could be very much varied. So it's within the margin of error that he could lose to Donald Trump. Rubio is about 10 points behind both of them. If Ted Cruz dominates in Texas, Ted Cruz is going to be the clear second in charge because there's so many delegates in Texas. Like, I think Texas has the third most delegates behind New York and California. If Ted Cruz comes way out in front from there and does decent in the rest of the states, then Marco Rubio might have to drop, which is like Ted Cruz and Donald Trump. The choice between those two is a nightmare for me.
Oh, they're both just awful in so many different ways and in so many of the same ways, you know?
Yeah.
God, if it's probably going to be one of those two, and that's pretty frightening.
Yeah, the other thing is Marco Rubio might hold solid in all of the states. It might upset in one or two. I doubt it, but if he does, then he would be the second or the clear second in command, and then Ted Cruz would have to drop. But he might not, because Ted Cruz has been in this for Ted Cruz the whole fucking time, so who knows if he'll drop.
Well, he hasn't been in it completely for himself. He also is in it because of Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus told him to run, right?
Gotta have a friend in Jesus. Same with, 3 other people who dropped out? I think Santorum mentioned it. Same with Mike Huckabee, of course. And there was somebody else. I can't remember. It's pointless.
Well, they got to get the Christian vote.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's talk about South Carolina. That was depressing. That was yesterday, and that did surprise me. Not that Hillary won. That's no surprise. But Hillary won 74% to 26%, essentially.
Oh, that is awful.
49 fucking points.
Yeah, it was a complete upset. I went on there and on Google and I was checking the thing, and as soon as it came up, the results, I was just like, ugh.
So what's
horrible.
What's the delegate standings right now? I know with the super delegates, Clinton's just slaughtering them. But what about just regular pledged delegates?
I would have to look that up. I'll see if I can find it, because MSNBC includes the super delegates. I'm trying to think of news stations that don't include the super delegates.
Yeah, because right now, considering the super delegates, Clinton has 544 to Sanders 85.
I'm pretty sure it's still pretty much tied.
I think it's pretty close. Yeah.
I'm trying to look.
I think she's got to be up by at least 10. I think that difference gave her at least 10 more delegates, because they were technically tied on regular delegates going into
South Carolina.
Yeah. And so let's talk about. So she slaughtered it on all fronts. She won with all different demographics. Again, this is all depressing stuff. And here's the thing that kind of pisses me off, that kind of irks me about this whole situation. Bernie Sanders has a national lead if you include independents. He's winning nationally, including if you include Democrats or independents in the polls, like 54 to 46%.
Yeah,
which is a sound lead. Now the problem is independents and young people do not show up for primaries.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Well, here's the thing. I watch all these videos. Last night I watched a video. Bernie Sanders was in Texas.
Yeah.
There was so many fucking people at his rally. It was ridiculous.
I think he had like 10,000 people
It
there.
was huge, and that's the thing. He's pulling all these people in for the rallies, and after the rallies, you got to show up one more time. Show up for his rallies, great. Then you got to show up for the caucus. Then you got to show up to vote. Don't forget to vote. That's more important than going to the rallies. If Bernie Sanders came here and held a rally here in Salt Lake, I would want to go. But if I'm already requesting time off to vote, if I couldn't get time off to vote, or whatever, that's the day I want off. If I can't get time off to go see his rally, then yeah, whatever, fuck it. But I'm making sure I'm getting time off to vote. That's the main thing. You got to show up and vote.
Yep.
I completely agree. And so it's on the left, we have this weird thing, and it's been going on for years, where essentially if you vote, you're supporting the system, and somehow not voting is not supporting the system that you don't buy into. So to vote is to technically buy in for the system. I do not buy that shit whatsoever. Essentially, when you don't vote, when you decide to not show up to vote, you're wielding, you're waiving your power to have a say in the political process. And if you're happy with the process, if you don't want to have a say in the process, then don't vote, I guess. But if you feel passionately about how politics are, if you feel like you want a voice back in the system, vote and become an activist. That's the only solution.
And also, if you feel like the system is rigged, like, we think it's rigged in ways, that's even more reason to vote and try to make change. Don't sit on the sideline and say the system's rigged. Fuck it. You should get out there and try to make a difference.
Yeah, get out there and vote. That's the main thing. You got to do a little bit of research, find the good candidates, find the good people you want in there, do the little bit of research that it takes, and then get out there and vote. Don't just vote for the presidency as well. Get out there and vote for your congressman, your senator, your
Your
whatever.
state level.
Vote stately and vote federally, nationally.
And when Democrats show up and vote, Democrats fucking win.
Because there's more of us.
Yeah, and less
So
of us.
show the fuck up.
Yeah, and less of us are actually registered as Democrats. Did you know, for the first time in American history, this changed recently? There are more independents than there are of either of the two political parties.
Yeah, and I think that rocks because I lean more towards, I'm not so much Democrat, not Republican, definitely not Republican, but I registered as a Democrat just so I could vote for Bernie, and I, wasn't quite sure, what I could do.
Yeah.
So I did anyway to be safe.
But now you know that you can vote in the Democratic caucus here in Utah, registered as anything, right?
Yeah, and so it depends on what state you're in, whether you can vote in a caucus or in a primary. What you need to do is go to voteforbernie.org. Even if you're not voting for Bernie, it doesn't matter. If you go there, you can get a clear breakdown of what your state's rules are. You just hover over the map, and it's easy as can be. You click on your state, and then it shows, hey, here's the process you need to go through in order to be eligible to vote in the primaries and to vote in the general election.
And I just want to point something out that over the last 3 decades, voters have been disproportionately of higher income, older, or more partisan in their interests. So it just shows you, the middle class is shrinking. The way politics are aimed, it's more beneficial to people who have more income, and that's who fucking votes more. People of higher income and older people.
Yeah, the people are getting stuff done for themselves and not for the rest of us. And I honestly think they should make this nationally on voting days. It should be a paid vacation. You should get the day paid
Or a national
off.
holiday.
It should be a national holiday. Hey, it's voting day. No, you're not going to work. You're going to go vote. I think that'd be a great thing.
Agreed. And who's the only presidential candidate in the race right now who has supported that?
Is it Bernie?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. See, and I didn't even know Bernie was supporting that. I just think that's a damn good idea.
It is. So let's move forward, unless there's anything else you guys want to say on this.
Just get out and vote, people. Don't do the caucus. Do the caucus. Go to his rallies. Just if you go to his rally, make sure you get out and you vote. Because I see so many people at the rallies, and then the next day when the caucus is, or in a week or whatever, there's not as many people getting out and voting. So that's more important than the rallies.
For sure. And the last thing I wanted to say is it's really easy to be up to date on politics. You just go to so say you have questions about your party in your state, just go to Facebook, and I'm sure if you search in Facebook, you'll find your political party. I did this for Utah just a couple days ago, and there's a Utah Democratic Party. Yep. So it's that easy.
Yeah, I've been a part of the Utah Democratic Party on Facebook for the past few weeks now. And then also, we have the mayor of Salt Lake. We've talked about her before. She's a female. She's lesbian. She's been doing a lot of cool work, and I'm actually following her on Facebook as well.
Yep, that easy.
Yep, that easy. And then you get cool news stories, and they post stuff all the time, and you can just read up on it a little bit, watch a cool video, whatever it is they're posting that has to do with politics, and then you can go about, looking through pictures of cats and doing whatever the hell you do on Facebook.
All right, so let's talk about recently. Matt, do you want to kick this one off, actually? I just got the sound clip.
Yeah, let's do it. So thehill.com is reporting a leader of the Democratic National Committee, the DNC, announced Sunday that she is stepping down from her post to support the presidential candidacy of Senator Bernie Sanders. Representative Tulsi Gabbard, sorry if I said that wrong, a Democrat from Hawaii, who serves as a vice chairwoman of the DNC, announced her endorsement in an interview with NBC's Meet the Press that aired Sunday morning.
Yeah, that interview is where she's a little more fluent about what she's saying. I believe we're going to watch a video now. It's her official statement.
Yeah, it's her release. And so this is her release on it. She's very well spoken, so I'm just going to play the whole thing and let her speak for herself.
Now. Now.
Aloha. I'm Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. As a veteran of 2 Middle East deployments, I know firsthand the cost of war. I know how important it is that our Commander-in-Chief has the sound judgment required to know when to use America's military power and when not to use that power. As a Vice Chair of the DNC, I'm required to stay neutral in Democratic primaries, but I cannot remain neutral any longer. The stakes are just too high. That's why today I'm endorsing Senator Bernie Sanders to be our next President and Commander-in-Chief of the United States. We need a Commander-in-Chief who has foresight, who exercises good judgment, and who understands the need for a robust foreign policy which defends the safety and security of the American people, and who will not waste precious lives and money on interventionist wars of regime change. Such counterproductive wars undermine our national security and economic prosperity. As these elections continue across the country, the American people are faced with a very clear choice. We can elect a president who will lead us into more interventionist wars of regime change, or we can elect a president who will usher in a new era of peace and prosperity. It's with this clear choice in mind that I'm resigning as Vice Chair of the DNC so that I can strongly support Bernie Sanders as the Democratic nominee for President of the United States. And now I ask you, stand with me and support Bernie Sanders.
So there it is.
She is very well spoken.
Yes. So the part that stands out to me, I mean, there are a couple of parts. One is one that I know speaks to Matt, which is non-interventional wars.
Yeah, that's one thing that matters to me a lot, and it pisses me off when I see Republicans talking about strengthening our military and we need to have balls and stand up and defend America. It's total fucking bullshit. It's warmongering. It's imperialistic fucking bullshit.
And I mean, and half the time they say we need to spread democracy, but what we end up doing is going in somewhere, even someplace that has democracy, like Iran, and causing a coup and installing a dictator.
Yeah, and then
and
after years it backfires, and there's a dictator in there that isn't friendly to us.
Well, yeah, and I mean, look at ISIS. The only reason why ISIS is here is because our involvement in the Middle East. It's blowback, and so people are like, ISIS, they're gonna kill us, and it's like, well, if we stop going into all these places and fucking walking around with our cocks out, maybe these people wouldn't be, trying to show their cocks to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. That's just a funny way to phrase it.
Yeah, and I just we could easily downsize our military and cut our military spending significantly and still have the strongest military in the world. Easy.
No other country on the planet spends as much money as we do on the military.
Oh yeah, we spend like more than the next 12 countries combined.
I think it's 7, but yes.
Yeah, it's a high number, and most of them are our allies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I saw Bernie Sanders point out in his speech is, hey, we've increased our budget like tenfold since the end of the Cold War, but we have no enemies. So what are we doing? And that's something that he's been sound on for the last 10, 15 years.
And the enemies we do have are enemies that we have in part created, mixed with a little bit of religious fundamentalism, and you got a recipe for fucking disaster there.
And Joe used a term that has gone by the wayside that I think is a good term, which is blowback.
Yeah, blowback.
And that's just we attack them, we create them, and because of our actions in the Middle East, they decide that we or other representatives of us in the West, they attack other countries' proxy, are the victims of it now.
Well, think about it. Imagine you're walking down the street and all of a sudden there's an invading, occupying force in your country. you know, and they start fucking bombing people and shooting people and stuff, and then maybe a bomb goes off, you know, somewhere near your kid's school and your kid gets killed. Are you just going to be like, oh, well, they're here just spreading democracy? No, you're going to join the next fucking militant group, whoever that is, and you're going to fucking go and attack the people who killed your fucking kid.
Yeah, a lot of the generals from Saddam's old regime, they got some of their journals, and in there, one of the guys said that he doesn't believe in the religious side of ISIS.
Yeah.
He doesn't support that religious ideology, but he joined them because he wants to try and get his fucking power back.
Yeah.
Because we went in there and overthrew the fucking Iraqi government, took out the Sunnis, and put in fucking Shias.
And to put it in perspective, we have a hard enough time with police officers who are citizens of our country. And when they run their shit, like, we're like, fuck the police. And rightfully so. Like, if I were in a poor black neighborhood and I kept on getting hassled by the police, that's how I would feel. And that's probably like 1 or like 10% of what they must feel, but having a foreign entity controlling their territory.
Yeah, it's just going to cause problems. It like we said, it's blowback.
All right. So one last thing on this, the other thing that really stands out is she was with the DNCs. Like, she had a good position and a good job with the DNC, and
she was the vice chairman.
Yeah, and so she felt passionately enough about this election that she decided to step down from her position, and that's got to be a somewhat scary thing. And in a sense, she's risking political suicide. I don't think Hillary's going to come after her if Hillary wins, but there's a possibility that she's going to alienate herself from a lot of Hillary supporters by doing this.
You know, and I think that's fine. I think a lot of people might be scared to support Bernie because of that, but a lot of them are still coming out and doing it and stuff because they know it's the right thing to do, so they're doing it. And I think we need a lot more of those people to, you know, just get the balls and do what needs to be done.
Yeah, get the balls.
Get those balls.
To get the ball rolling.
Or the ovaries, you know, because women are tough, dude. Yeah,
for sure. Well, my favorite politician in the United States, and I was talking about this last night, is still Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah.
Even though I love Bernie, but if Elizabeth Warren was running, I'd be supporting her probably over Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, I think both of us have said that several times on the podcast.
Yeah,
and I agree with you, and you agree with us. So it's
So let's move forward, unless there's anything else. All right.
Alrighty. So there was a shooting last night here in Salt Lake City. The SaltLakeTribune.com is reporting. Police are investigating the shooting of a person reported to be a teenage boy by Salt Lake City police. The shooting occurred about 8 p.m. Saturday near 250 South, Rio Grande Street. So the story goes is that two teenage boys were fighting. One of them had a broomstick in his hand, and the cops came up behind him, told him to drop the broomstick. The kid doesn't know who the fuck's behind him, you know, he just turns around, and they shoot him 4 times in the fucking chest.
Yeah, and his condition is unknown. They rushed him to the hospital, but what's crazy about this, of course, he's he's an African-American kid. He was I believe he was 17. I read another article about it. His family came out, and we're talking about it. He's from Kenya. He's been here for 10 years and stuff, but where he was shot is a very public place. There's a lot of people there. It's downtown Salt Lake, so there's also a lot of tourists there. And when this happened, all the witnesses that were around, groups and groups of people, witnessed the whole thing, and they got pissed because they said that did not need to happen. So I guess people were throwing debris and rocks at the police officers, and basically a riot broke out. The cops tased and pepper sprayed a bunch of people, arrested a bunch of people. It turned into a huge mess because, of course, the cops went, and this is quote unquote, above and beyond the Call of Duty. You know what I mean? They went too far. He's a 16-year-old kid. You look at these pictures of him, he's a skinny little scrawny kid. It's like, I have a 16-year-old stepson here who's small and scrawny, and if he had a broomstick, I wouldn't be fucking scared for my life. You know, I'd tackle his ass and spank his ass and fucking send him on his way.
But even if the dude was a big fucking guy, you can find countless video of how cops handle situations in other countries, where it's a big fucking dude with a giant fucking machete,
Yeah.
and the cops just surround him and play this cat and mouse game until they can grab his ass and fucking tackle him.
Well, that's
you don't,
just too much work.
You don't need to pull your fucking lazy fucking gun out and shoot some fucking kid to death.
Yeah. It's a joke. It's a joke. And this story's getting national news. It just happened yesterday, which would be February 27th. So probably when you upload this, it'll be tomorrow, the 29th, I imagine. But it's a joke.
You know, and I do respect police officers. I really do. But when you see this type of shit over and over again, where they just fucking shoot the fucking person instead of trying to de-escalate the situation,
Yeah. Well,
it pisses me off.
I think most of it has to do with training. Because if you look at a police officer's training, they have like 0 to none, basically, training for de-escalating situations. Most of their training is weapons. It's their gun and stuff. That's where most of their training goes. I think they need to teach them more how to de-escalate a situation than just to pull out their gun and shoot.
Exactly.
Yeah, and this is breaking because I tried to pull up the news story to follow along. It's talking about how there are protests planned, so there will be activism taking place and it doesn't surprise me at all. Utah has a pretty active community here as far as activism goes. And yeah, I mean, I agree completely. Police officers are not. It's not all police officers. It's not all the time. I say most police officers most of the time are outstanding people. There are a few who are bad more often than not. But
Probably a little more hot-headed than they need to be.
Yeah, and I doubt this guy's a bad dude. Like, I don't think he was like, oh, let me go shoot some kid. I think that he just, like you said, the training. The training. I think there's a 2-hour de-escalation course required for police officers, but
And
their gun training courses are like 40 hours long.
Yeah, exactly. And they continue their gun training throughout their career. They don't continue taking de-escalating courses and stuff, and it's a joke. And another thing, I'm sorry, if you're a police officer and if you're a scared little bitch and you're going to pull out your gun, don't be a cop. And I've stressed that before, I think, on the podcast. But if you're going to be scared and pull out your gun and shoot people, don't fucking be a cop. The job is not for you. You need to go in there, de-escalate the situation, and possibly risk your life. But if you're pulling out your gun every chance you get, to me, you're not risking your life. You know what I mean?
Yep.
People are like, oh, cops out there risking their lives every day. And I do understand that to a point, but when I see all these cops shooting people and killing people, especially here in Utah, I think more people have been killed by cops than any other situation, any other like domestic abuse or anything like that. And I think, okay, I don't know. I'm running on. But.
Yeah, and we've got time for one more story. So, Matt, why don't you take us into that?
All right, so the independent.co.uk is reporting Saudi Arabia sentences a man to 10 years in prison and 2,000 lashes for expressing his atheism on Twitter.
Oh, gosh.
So a court in Saudi Arabia has sentenced a man to 10 years in prison, 2,000 lashes, for expressing his atheism in hundreds of social media posts.
Can I just start calling Saudi Arabia ISIS government?
That's what they are.
Yeah, ISIS government people.
So,
and they're our allies.
He's a 28-year-old man. He admitted to being an atheist and refused to repent, saying that what he wrote reflected his own beliefs and that he had the right to express them. The report did not name Name the man. Holy shit, guys. So it added that religious police in charge of monitoring God, I cannot talk. Social networks found more than 600 tweets denying the existence of God, ridiculing the Quran, accusing all prophets of lies, and saying their teaching fueled hostilities. The court also fined him 20,000 rials.
Charwin.
So I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Actually,
You
Honestly?
support the Saudi Arabia government?
No.
Whatever. That's what you're getting at.
The surprising thing to me is that is not as bad as the last two stories I've heard about atheists in Saudi
usually
Arabia.
it's
Yeah,
a
they usually
beheading.
cut their head off.
Yeah.
Yeah, or if they're attracted to the same sex and they're dropped off of buildings for some fucking reason.
So it makes me wonder. I bet you anything. This guy who's being arrested must be some sort of prince or something.
No,
Maybe someone with a
no,
lot of money,
no.
and so they're treating him a little more fairly.
No.
You know, like they do here in America.
No. He might have friends who have some power, but yeah, there's no way that a prince would ever come out and say the princes have too much to lose, like way too much to lose to say something like that. The princes of Saudi Arabia are savvy businessmen. They might be atheists. Who knows? They don't necessarily adhere to any religious doctrine or dogma. It doesn't seem like, at least.
Oh, they don't.
So the King Abdullah, he put out a bunch of royal decrees and new legislation to deal with terrorism. And it says, Article 1 of the new provisions define terrorism as calling for atheist thought in any form or calling into question the fundamentals of the Islamic religion on which this country is based.
God, you know what? I mean, that reminds me of the South and some of the rhetoric that happens here, where it's like atheists are trying to ruin our country. Da 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 da. Like these guys in King Abdullah would get along so fucking well.
Oh yeah, it's so funny when you hear like the religious right in America talk about how liberals are comparable to ISIS. You know what I mean? But it's like, no, you are more like ISIS. You hate gays.
Yeah.
You know,
So does ISIS.
Everything you stand for is exactly in line with ISIS, and you're both doing it for religious reasons. So I don't know who's more like ISIS.
Switch out Jesus and Muhammad, and you're good to go, and Allah, and just call him God, and you guys would be great buddies. You guys love guns, you guys, and shooting them and showing them off. You guys love fucking talking about how morally corrupting liberal ideas are. God, it's so stupid.
Yeah. Well, ignorance is bliss, man.
All right, so I think this is going to wrap up the first half of the podcast. Again, please make sure to check us out on Spreaker, YouTube, with the Recklessly Skeptical podcast. Join us on Facebook with the Evil Atheist Facebook group. Also, please, if you're watching this on YouTube, like it, subscribe, and
Share it.
Share it.
If you want to, please share. Share.
Yeah, and also if you're watching this on Spreaker, also they have like a like option, and be sure to follow. I think that's it for me.
Yep. Charwin.
Charwin. Thanks, guys.